The big boys are here. The Pure Drive 100
and the EZONE 100.
They are going head to head to see who comes out on top.
Let's go.
Today we're going to be putting two rackets through their paces. I got it in early. And those rackets are the brand new Babolat Pure Drive 2025. This is the 100 300 gram version.
Yes, and we have the brand new Yonex EZONE 100.
Of course, the EZONE 100 is released. It is available. The Pure Drive, we're a few days away. So it's very exciting stuff. Two very good rackets, two of the very best-selling rackets, new releases, only weeks apart, and they are now going head to head.
Yes, famously, these are two of the most powerful rackets you can buy. Chocked full of explosive, powerful, stiff tennis excitement, but both of these rackets have gone in a different direction slightly this time.
Yeah, so these new updates are all around comfort, and this seems to be something that's happening sort of industry-wide. Most rackets now are looking for comfort and power. Those seem to be the things that the manufacturers certainly believe that you, consumers, us players, really want out of our rackets. So in the Pure Drive, we have got updated flax tape, and in the EZONE we have
some Minolon, which is a fancy material made by worms.
If you want the full details on the new tech and spec of each racket, we have got reviews specifically of them. So you can look for the Pure Drive 100 review, and we also compare it to the old version. Equally with the EZONE, we have the new versus old on the 100, so all the new tech. There's a new beam shape and all sorts of other things. You can find that in that review.
Yes, but today is all about the comparison, the versus. Which one is best? Which one should you buy? Which do we prefer?
So full disclosure, I've been a Pure Drive 100 user for quite a long time. So obviously I'm very excited. When we used this, last time I used this was back in August, when we filmed the initial review and play test. And I loved it then. I still love it now, but I also did enjoy the EZONE, so it's going to be an interesting comparison to see which one I prefer. We have strung them both with Restring 0.
That is the 1.23 gauge at 50 pounds of tension. Slightly on the lower side because it is freezing cold day in January.
We are going to now put these rackets...
We are going to get on court and give them a try.
Head to head.
Yeah.
Nothing about pacing.
No, definitely not going to put them through their paces, are we?
Definitely not. That would be a crazy thing to say. Let's go. First thoughts on these two rackets. A very enjoyable experience, both very, very nice, both very easy to use, as you'd expect. Obviously the EZONE, nicknamed the EZ1, a Pure Drive being very playable, nice and comfortable to use and easy access to power. So generally easy to get on with, and kind of straight away from the back of the court you can just play tennis.
Yeah, absolutely. Really difficult to try and compare these two because they're both really nice.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time being like, is it more powerful? Let me try that again.
Sometimes when we do these versus, these comparisons, it's very obvious very quickly, not only which one we prefer, but which one is more powerful, which one creates more spin. And why. And I think these two are just, you have to say with both that I'd be more than happy to play with either.
Yes.
And I think you guys at home are going to appreciate both as well. They are significant upgrades on their previous versions.
Well, I think the Pure Drive is definitely a significant upgrade. I think the EZONE, the amount of upgrade is debatable depending on what you like out of your tennis racket.
Yes, you can't argue the significance. Whether people appreciate it or not is different.
I stand corrected.
Yes, so overall, everything we're going to say now, it should be prefaced with they're both good, but we are trying to find a difference.
But Ben, if we think they're all good, then people just think we're being biased and we want them to buy them. It's ridiculous. How can they possibly be good? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's funny that each time a manufacturer spends millions of pounds developing a new product, but they seem to improve it. Yeah, it's almost unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
Isn't it? Let's go through our categories, starting with the most important one always, but especially for these rackets, power. Yeah. Which is more powerful, Ben?
I don't know, Josh.
Excellent. I am pretty confident to say that most people, because it depends slightly on how you play,
for sure,
will find the Pure Drive a more powerful racket.
Yeah, it seems like, and it feels like when you're playing, that the Pure Drive kind of asks you to be more powerful.
Yep.
As in, it kind of wants you to hit harder and swing faster,
yep.
which kind of then logically suggests that the EZONE is the more powerful racket because it means the racket's doing it for you.
Yeah, the EZONE is easier to use in that sense.
Yes.
Where I felt like I got a bit of like balloon on the ball. Like the ball, like launch angle.
Oh, we're going to say launch angle.
No.
Can't say launch angle.
Not launch angle. But I felt like it went further and easier. I feel like the sweet spot is gigantic.
Yep.
And kind of no matter where you play within the string bed, it goes and it keeps going.
Yeah.
So it's a more comfortable, powerful experience, but on just pure power. Especially, I noticed it on serve was where I noticed where I made my mind up purely was the Pure Drive having more power than the EZONE.
Yes, I mean the Pure Drive is stiffer. It feels stiffer, so therefore it is probably more powerful. But it's the way the rackets play, all the stats and all the characteristics come together to create a feeling, and the feeling is very hard to differentiate. But probably Pure Drive just. Right, let's move on to spin, shall we? And I think this one is probably the most obvious of all, right?
Yeah, it's the easiest one, and I think this is down to the manoeuvrability of the frame, and so the winner of spin. And we're talking about top spin here.
Yeah.
A couple of people often comment and say, what about slice? Slice probably falls more into the feel category.
Oh, you're going to upset so many people with a sentence like that.
Yeah, maybe. So when it comes to spin, when we're talking top spin, being able to get huge amounts of revs on the ball, there is one winner. It is
the EZONE.
Yes. And probably by the biggest margin of all categories as well. The power, it was just the Pure Drive. Spin, the EZONE certainly is a more spinny or spin friendly.
But yeah, if you have a more spinny style rather than hitting hard and flat, you're going to much prefer the EZONE to make it easier to play with spin, for sure.
Agreed. When it comes to control, keeping the ball in the court and allowing you to hit spots, which one are you choosing?
Yeah, well, obviously these are both power frames, so control isn't necessarily high on the list of things you're looking for.
Yeah.
But I think the EZONE, almost by definition, has to be more controlly. It's slightly more flexible.
Yep.
It's slightly softer, so it gets more spin.
Yep.
So you've just got more control over the ball. Whether you like that or not is a different matter, right?
Yeah, and this is similar, and we might have a similar conclusion in feel as well. But when it comes to control, for me, I prefer the Pure Drive. I use the comment of controllable power, which is kind of like the holy grail of tennis rackets. I think they've really tempered the Pure Drive so nicely that previous Pure Drives you had to almost tame the beast, and now it's already a little bit tamed for you.
Yeah.
I felt like I was keeping the ball in the court a lot easier. There was less sort of, I don't know, previous Pure Drives sort of 1 in 10 could kind of go absolutely wild, and that was much less so. So whilst I agree you get more flex and therefore dwell time and therefore control from the EZONE, I felt more in control with a stiffer frame that I'm used to, and the new feeling of the Pure Drive.
Yes, more will be explained when we get onto feel in just a moment, but it's that kind of feel and control work together to create sort of playability, right? Yeah. And I think we both preferred the control given to us by the Pure Drive, even though we both accept that there's more control in an EZONE. So it'll massively depend on play style.
Feel! How it feels when you contact the ball, how the sensation of playing your shots, when it comes through to your hands, are you able to drop a little drop shot, chip in a little slice, like feel the ball around, volley, like that side of things? What do you think?
Well, so in that regard, the EZONE feels comfier. It feels like it's a softer contact, but just too detached from what you're actually doing. So it feels like so much racket between hand and ball that you kind of feel out of control. So it might feel nicer, as in more comfortable, but as a high level player, I don't think you're going to like the EZONE. I think you're going to prefer the Pure Drive.
Basically, you're saying there's too many worms in it. It's too much worm.
Yes, they put too many worms in an EZONE and just the right amount of flex tape in the Pure Drive.
So when it comes to feel, I think you're spot on the simple definition. The EZONE has better feel. It's softer, it's more comfortable. If you had any sort of tennis elbow issues, any sort of shoulder, wrist, you wanted something easier. A lot of people say with Babolat, generally they find them too stiff and more likely to give elbow pain. That is probably no different, although this is slightly softer. You would go with the EZONE. But when it comes to a feel that I like a stiffer racket. I like that feedback I get.
Yeah.
The Flax Tape 2.0 has improved that in the Pure Drive.
Sharper, right?
Yeah, and so I prefer the feel of the Pure Drive. However, I completely would accept that the feel is technically better in the EZONE.
Yes, it is a really good case of this feels better, but probably not for better players.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, classic PH. Love them both, do you?
These rackets have both gone down the comfort and power routes.
Yep.
How have they done?
The EZONE's done it very, very well. Arguably too well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. It's so comfortable and so powerful in a ease of use way that actually it's changed its target market slightly.
Yeah, I would be very, very surprised if very high level players like the new EZONE.
100.
Yes, 100, apologies. But club level players are going to love the feeling that you get from the new EZONE. It feels really, really nice, really, really comfy, but it just sort of detaches you from the game a little bit. So as you get better and you want a little bit more feedback through your hand, I'm going to say you're going to prefer the Pure Drive.
Yeah, as you get better, if you prefer and you've used stiff rackets before, if you're already a Pure Drive user like me, I think you will definitely stick with the new upgraded Pure Drive than diverge to the EZONE. Whereas if you were an EZONE 100 user, this is certainly worth a little try.
Yeah, I would say that the previous versions, the EZONE had the Pure Drive beat quite comfortably, and in this version I feel like they've kind of flipped roles almost.
If you are thinking of upgrading your Pure Drive or EZONE to one of the new models, maybe thinking about switching between the two, or you use a completely different racket and you've watched our reviews and gone, God, that sounds right up my street, then they're definitely worth trying. So go out there and put them through their paces.
Yeah, it is, I think, more so than any other versus we've ever done, personal preference is going to be absolutely ginormous here. There is very little to choose between them off of a spec sheet.
You would say there isn't a better racket between them?
No.
There's just a more of a preference.
Yes,
and my preference is the Pure Drive, so get it.
Yeah, I think I would go for the Pure Drive as well. Very quickly.
I hated Pure Drives before.
I really did.
Hated.
Yeah. This is probably one of the biggest upgrades from between two versions of any racket I've ever used, I reckon.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment and share with your friends, and we'll see you very soon.